Hello everyone, this is Krish Jaswal and welcome to Grunfeld project. Today we are actually going to discuss a scenario rather than talking about a given topic as we usually do in the rest of the videos. The scenario being, let's say one fine day you have scored very well in your competitive exams and you feel like that now I'll eat sweets. Now I'll not cut down on sugar, I'll eat some sweets. So you go to a sweet shop, right? Once you go to the sweet shop, you ask for, let's say, a barfi that's like Kaju Katli. Although the sweet might be different in your case, but that's my favorite choice. And the shopkeeper, he gives you a samosa instead of a burfi. How do you feel? You feel irritated, right? You feel being mocked. That why exactly is the shopkeeper giving you a samosa when you are clearly saying that you want a burfi? Understand the topic that we are going to talk about? Okay. If not yet, let me give another example. Let's say one fine day you feel like ordering food from Zomato. Actually, that fine day is every day, but okay. And let's say you ordered paneer. Then you have ordered rice. Then let's say you have also ordered dal. Then there is a pickle that comes along with it, and there is roti. Okay. Now after it is delivered, the delivery has some concerns with it. The first concern being that the containers in which these food items are delivered are opaque, are solid and opaque containers, which means what is within them, you cannot see that. Secondly, there are no labels on top of each container that you know what food is inside of the container. Now these are the two issues with the delivery. And what happens is when you start actually opening the containers one by one, you think that there is one container which contains pickles. You assume that it contains pickles, but when you open it, it actually turns out to be dal, which is now spilled. Had you known that there was some liquid element inside of that container, you would have opened it a bit more carefully, right? So this dilemma that Zomato has put you in, that the containers did not have labels, is not just an issue that we face in regular life, but even servers face this issue. But how? And what are we exactly talking about? So we are talking about content type headers. Now let us resurface back to the request response model. So when you send a request to the server, you expect that a response should also come from the web server, right? But do you expect that the response that is given by the web server, let's say this is our web server, and this is the response, and this is our client browser. So, do you expect that the response that is given by the web server should be directly rendered here in the web browser? No, right? What are the edge cases that might have arise, or that what are the problems that will arise if this happens? So, the first thing, the response that is given by the web server might not be a plain text. So, the response that is given by the web server, it might not be a plain text. It might be a binary, it might be an XML, right? So the very first issue and very fundamental issue here is the type of content, the type of response that the web server is giving, in its response. And if you try to directly render this within the web browser, then that's an issue because your client is dumb. And you basically, in software practice, you keep your client dumb while designing, and you design system architectures in that way so that your client is dumb. So basically, your client gets data of 10010, basically binary data. Do you want your client to decode that data for you? No, right? In fact, even before thinking that, what are the possible types in which you can expect a server to respond? Well, if we iterate on that, I think one of that type I know is plain text, on which HTTP 1 protocol works. Then I can remember binary, I can remember JSON, CSV, XML, all of these being text, okay, except the binary one. Then I also expect protobuf. So I can expect the server to respond in all of these formats. Now there can be multimedia as well. Now, if you have ever attended any backend workshop, or let's say you have been a part of any discussions where networking and backend is related, you might have heard about or seen these errors while building backend applications. That is, cannot parse the request into a request body, or unsupported content type for request body. Well, I was working on a project similar to that, where from a webhook, I was getting a XML URL encoded XML parameter input, but all I was doing is to accept a request body of some custom data type that I had defined, and I encountered this error. So, if you have still not understood what this video is about, this video is actually about dealing with these kind of issues. Imagine that you are actually traveling to USA from India, okay, and you have never seen how a US dollar looks like. You go to currency exchange to get the conversion from INR to USD, but INR to Japanese yen. In that case, given that you don't know how a USD looks like, this can be a critical issue for you while you are residing in the US. You expected a US dollar, but you got a Japanese yen. And in the same case, servers also face this kind of an issue. When the request is sent by the client, the server decides, which format to send the data in. So just to be very clear, this content type header is present in the response. The server tells that, this is the type of content in which I'd be sending the response. Now, this might be application JSON, it might be application binary, it might be application CSV, it might be text, plain HTML, like plain text, and so on and so forth. There can be multiple type of content types. Now, if I had to give an example here, let me come down to this temp mail, and I go to mailbox request. If I come down to response headers, I'll clearly see a content type, application JSON. Also, the type of encoding, that is in this case UTF-8. So this is what a content type header is. But how does the front end know that, which type of content is the server going to respond in? Well, we had just seen that, with the help of that content type header in the response that indicates that the original media or the resource is of this particular type before any content encoding is applied to it. All right. There is a very famous status code 415 that is responsible for strict enforcement of content type by the server. In case a server violates this and sends a different type of content, although it communicates that the content type is X, but it sends the response in content type of Y, then this 415 error is shown on the client side. That this is what response the server is sending, but you are trying to enforce the content type of X, which is a client side issue. Now there are some HTTP verbs, like post and put, where you can actually add a content type header to specify the format in which you expect the server to respond. Now understanding how content type matters in a backend, with an example, is beyond the scope of this video. And actually, this video is limited till here itself. But wait, just hold on. You can actually implement a backend service where you are using some external APIs and you are specifying the content type in its header, while sending a request. Once that is done, you can push your code to GitHub and also attach that GitHub link in the comment section of this video. We'll love to have your comments under this video. Also, we'll love to cater your doubts if you have any under this video. So that's it for this video, and thanks for watching.